Now the chapter is about page caching. Caching is a very common term which is used in web development. Sometimes if something does not work, we always tell to some other developer, like it's better you clear your cache then again restart your project or restart the server. What is this caching all about? First of all, caching a page means it will nothing but it will improve your speed. It's up to the speed performance to increase your performance of your website. Caching is said to be very helpful. Okay. If a page is cached, what happens if a page is cached? Then it will be stored in its fully rendered state. It is like your cache will be already there. For example, you are always calling for login or registration page of a website. So it happens always that you keep on calling that website, that page is automatically cached in your web application folder. So you don't have to send the request again to the server as and when needed. You have your own page, you know automatically like, yeah, I need this page for this URL. So you don't have to send a request to the server and waiting for the response and so on. Yes, it happens sometimes that you make some kind of modifications in UI front. In such a scenario, page caching is said to be very important. It helps in clearing the cache and improve the performance, and then you can reload the page and you can see whatever the changes are there. So page caching is a very important thing which is done in CodeIgniter. So again, I'd like to repeat, caching a page is a very common thing which is used to increase the speed performance. Okay, so when the server gets a request for the cache page, it will be directly sent to the browser. It will not go to the entire procedure the way it does. Okay, in CodeIgniter, cache files are stored in application cache folder. If you remember for the folder structure in CodeIgniter, I've already described that all those application kind of the coding structures are defined in cache folder. So caching can be enabled on per page basis. While enabling the cache, we need to set the time. It is very important that you set a time for it until which it needs to be remain in the cache folder. So as long as your time is not set, the file will be present in the cache folder. Once you say or call for the delete function or something like remove the cache, then automatically all the associated files will be removed from the cache folder. Okay. So let's have a look with our code base. First of all, I'll show you two things: enabling and disabling caching in CodeIgniter with the simple functions, and then we will create our own controller and view where your view will be cached in application subfolder cache, and once you delete the particular cache, this particular cache which is there in the view, the cache view which is there in application cache folder will be deleted. So let's move to our code base where we'll create a controller and the view for the functional person. Let's start with the basic description of syntax. So I'll create it in my blank file. First is enabling cache. So enabling cache syntax is as follows. So I'm taking it in the comment part. So it will be like $this output and cache parameter will be given over here. So cache will take a parameter that is $n. What is $n is the number of minutes you wish the page to remain in the cache. Okay, so this is the amount of minutes you can give for the web application. The next one is disabling cache. So disable cache file gets deleted when it expires. So in this, the syntax is like $this and output, my parameter will be a function that is delete underscore cache. So this is our basic syntax. And if I want to delete a particular cache for some folder, say for example foo bar, so in that case I'll say $this output and I'll mention delete underscore cache. This will be my function with the folder name that is foo and bar. Okay, so this is the way it is done. So my syntax for the cache management is clear. Now I'll create a new controller for cache. So that I'll do inside my controllers. I'll save my file under controllers, application controllers. So it is under controller section. I'll name the file as cache controller. So my file is cache I have cache controller already in my system. So I'll just rename it. My file will be like cache1 underscore controller dot php. So I've created a cache over here. The cache controller will have the basic syntax the same way we had it with the various other controllers. So now I'll create a file inside the PHP codes. It will be class cache1 underscore controller extends ci underscore controller. Now inside controller, I will take the complete logic for cache. So with that, I'll start with the basic function, that is index. So I'll say public function index. I'll mention $this. I'm going to output my cache within a 1 minute parameter. So I'll say output cache and the parameter is 1. We saw that 1 is the number of minutes. So I will take my page cache in 1 minute. After that comes $this. I'm going to load a view. So that is $this load view and the parameter is test. My name of the view will be test, which we will create. So this was in our basic function of index, that is the default function of the controller, where we declared that the cache will be rendered and it will be rendered inside our view, and the name of the view was test. The next function is the delete function. So I'll create that public function delete underscore file underscore cache, and inside that I'll mention my cache, that is cache controller. So I'll say $this output and it is delete underscore cache. So that is mentioned inside the cache controller. So I say cache controller. Okay, so I've declared my cache controller because I'm going to route this cache1 underscore controller as cache controller in my routes.php. So I will keep delete underscore cache and the name of the controller inside it. After that, what is the next thing? I'm going to create a new file, and this file will be my views, that is test.php. So let's save this file under application folder, views section that we'll have under views. So inside views, I'll save the file name as test.php. So let's save it. So I'm just saving it as test.php. Okay. Now I'll create a basic HTML page for our cache to check whether caching is done or not. We'll just create a simple doc type element, that is doc type HTML I'm mentioning. Now comes the HTML tags, HTML. Inside that I'll specify my head tag. Head tag will have the meta char set. So I'll say meta and char set equal to UTF-8. So I'm mentioning my meta char set. So inside that I will call for a title. My title over here is about the cache management. So you can specify any of the title you wish to. So I just give a simple title, like it's nothing but a CodeIgniter page caching. So after mentioning of the title name, after creating the head section, we'll move to our body section. So I'll create body, and inside body, I'll call for CodeIgniter view example. I'll mention it in H2 tags. So this will be CodeIgniter view example. Okay. I mentioned the name. I created a view now. So my cache file will be associated to this view, that is test.php. Last but not the least step is to route my particular cache controller. So I will take it inside cache controller as $route. So the name of the controller was cache1 underscore controller. I'm going to route it as per my delete cache function. So inside $route, I'll specify the name as, it should be in brackets, square brackets, cache controller. So we'll take it in that way, cache controller, and the name of the controller was cache1 underscore controller. Cache1, it's not cache underscore controller. We already have a file of cache controller. Now the next function is to root our delete function. So we'll take the same way we did for our routing of the particular controller. So I'll just root my delete function. So that is $root cache controller delete. Inside that, I'll call for the cache 1 underscore controller and delete. My file name was delete file cache. So I'll call for the same file name over here. Better is to copy paste the particular file inside my routing.php. So here I take it. So I'm done with my routing section. So my next step is to check whether the cache file is done properly or not inside my browser section. So I'll just go check my code base in my browser section, call for this particular file and check whether my caching is done properly or not. The important point to note over here is that your routing is completely constrained to the controller section, so you should maintain that thing. So this is my project in the project code base. Let's go to our URL, that is cache controller, which we created now. Yes, we got our view. The view is loaded properly. Now, if whether the file is cached or not is properly checked inside our application folder. So inside application, we have a cache folder. There we need to check whether the file is cached or not. So this is our application folder. And inside application, I have a cache. So inside cache, if you can see, this is my file which we cache right now. I'm just opening in my bracket section. So here you'll get a better picture. Like this was the file which we created now as test.php in the views section. And with the headers and enc type is also specified to it. So my file is being cached properly inside the cache folder. So this folder will automatically be called whenever we request for a page because it is cached. Now I delete this, so the file should be deleted from my cache directory. So let's check. So yes, my file is deleted from the cache directory because we call for this function which deletes your cache directory. So in this way, caching is easily managed in CodeIgniter in a better way. So next chapter, we'll focus about the various other functionalities. See, if you call for the page again, the page is again cached and it is easily visible in my folder with the particular timestamp, which means that I recently cached this particular file. So cache management is quite simpler and easier in CodeIgniter perspective. So this becomes easier for us to get the caching of the particular files.